If a vehicle jack says it's a 2-ton jack, does that mean it can support 2 tons of weight or is suitable for vehicles 2 tons and under? How are you planning on lifting the truck? If you're just raising it up one corner at a time, like to change tires, then it's totally fine because the majority of the truck's weight is going to be on the other 3 tires. But if you actually want to lift the entire truck, then no, you'll need a bigger jack. It will lift 2 tons. Make sure you use jack stands once a corner is in the air, so you don't die. Good rule of thumb is to remember that any vehicle lifted off the ground by any means is always actively trying to kill you. Having said that, a 2-ton jack will easily lift the front end of a full-size truck off the ground, long enough to properly place correctly rated stands under it somewhere. Personally, I don't even like changing brakes, which doesn't require getting under the truck without a stand. It's one of those things ya just don't want to play cowboy with. It's for 2 tons of weight, but still use jack stands after lifting the vehicle. A jack is only listed as a lifting device, not a support device. I want to clear something up first. When you say you have a 2.5-ton truck, do you mean it actually weighs about 5,000 pounds curb weight, or that it is rated as a 2.5-ton truck? The two values are quite different. A standard F-150 weighs in around 5,600 pounds, varies a lot depending on options, so legitimately is a 2.5 truck in curb weight. But it is rated as a 1-ton truck, so it carry in the neighborhood of 2,000 pounds, again varies depending on trim grade and options. A Ford 2.5-ton truck would be something like the F-350. It can carry 2.5 tons, but weighs over 3 tons. As others have said, the jack is rated to lift 2 tons safely. If you are just lifting one corner at a time, it will not see an overload no matter which truck you have. But you have to assume that at some point you will want to get 2 wheels up, like when doing an oil change. In that situation, lifting from the front, that jack will be at its limit under a F-150, but overloaded if it's an F-350 or larger. In that case, you will need a 3-ton jack or larger. And it should go without saying, but it always bears repeating. No matter what the ratings and loads are, never get under a vehicle held up by a jack. If you need to get under it, use jack stands or ramp stands. Yes, should be fine even if lifting 2 tires. Just stay back safely and use a 2x4 to slide your jack stands under. The rating on the jack is what the jack can safely lift on a solid level surface. Will never forget when a friend of mine asked me about my 2-ton jack. How the heck do you move that thing, it being that heavy and all? That's the capability of the jack. A 2-ton jack could easily change the tire on 2.5-ton truck as long as you only jack one corner at a time. Oh my god, don't do it. Better to be safe than sorry. Those are the same thing? If you're just lifting your truck up so that you can get a jack stand under it, I'd give it a go as long as I could stay a safe distance back while lifting and positioning the stand. If I couldn't do that, I wouldn't risk it. It can support 2 tons. It can support 2 tons. When you jack up a vehicle, you don't lift 100 of the weight, you lift it a corner at a time. Ballpark somewhere between 25-35 of the vehicle weight, depending on placement. Still always use a jack stand if you are ever going to place any part of your body under the vehicle. Jack stands are solid, a jack the hydraulic piston can fail. Well, I always thought a 2-ton jack was just a really strong dude named Jack who could lift 2 tons with one hand. Guess I need to brush up on my car maintenance knowledge. Learn something new every day. It refers to the total lifting capacity of the jack. Although I won't lift more than 1 tire at a time with it, and never get under a vehicle with only the jack holding it up. Always use a jack stand. In general, to be extra safe, if your vehicle weighs more than the rating on a jack, I'd say just don't use it instead of getting technical or saying, well, I'm only raising 1 tire at a time. It's just good to be safe. Just use 1.5 of those jacks and you should be fine. I always cut the number in half and that's how I base it for cars. So my 3-ton jacks I trust on my Steed and then my big 6-ton ones I trust for my Escalade or other big cars. You can in theory use it to lift one tire at a time, but personally I wouldn't. Always get a jack and stands that are above the weight of the vehicle that you are propping up. For trucks, 3 tons is the minimum I would look at. For cars, 3 tons is perfect. Better to have your gift as a backup jack for a small vehicle or to help another person. 2 tons of weight. Personally, I think I would probably use it to lift a vehicle in order to put jack stands under it. I never lift the side of a vehicle, only the front or back. That's the only real place where it has a lift point. The points on the sides are jack points for jack stands. You're never supposed to get under a vehicle that's only supported by a floor jack, so I think the risk is really low. It'll safely hold 2 tons. However, they're meant to be used in pairs. One pair will theoretically hold 4 tons, but I wouldn't trust them at their max. Everything is made cheaply nowadays, including safety equipment. Edit: I thought you meant jack stands for some reason. A 2-ton jack can be used alone, but never get under a vehicle that's only held up by a jack. That jack should work fine for you, as long as you're only picking up a corner at a time or whole rear end.